Hi, good morning, guys. Welcome back to DX Radio Shop. As we all know, this is obviously the shop to go to because we teach you everything that you need to know and then some. Whereas other shops just fail to teach you anything besides before and after videos. And they read off of computer screens or else they read off notes they've got written down. And they try to copy someone else and they put it in their own words to make it sound like they know what they're doing, all that nonsense, right? Here we don't do that. We just give you real education right off the top of my head that I've had for over 40 years. So, what do we have in front of us? Well, we have a couple different things we're going to do. One is we have two transistors right here, and we want to see, one's brand new, one's used. So obviously I know this one's good, and this one here we're going to test to see if it's shorted, which I believe it is. We took this out of a radio. They had an issue with the transmit side. It was no power out. We checked with the power level meter, and that was no good. So it indicated it didn't have any amplification. Now pay attention, guys. We did do a pop quiz on our channel as well, so this will help you understand making the right decision with that pop quiz question. Okay, so pay attention. Sylvester, Kevin, how are you guys? Good morning. So now here's what we're going to do. We're going to find out if in fact this transistor is shorted, which again, this one's brand new, this one is to be shorted. So we're going to indicate that right now. We took this out of a radio because we knew there was no amplification and the radio had no power. So we're going to take a look and see what we got going on. Now, a couple of other things that we can do is, one, we have our transistor tester. Perfect, right? They'll give me the answers. But what if I didn't have this machine? What if I didn't have the money to buy this type of machine? These are very expensive machines. What if I didn't have the money to buy that and I'm just beginning to learn electronics? What if all I had was a simple multimeter? Everybody has a multimeter. You can buy these for $5, $10 at your Home Depot stores, Lowe's, wherever, right? Walmart. So what if I only had a purpose of using this, but I didn't have one of these on hand? Or any other transistor tester for that matter? Well, what would I do? Well, we need to check resistance. We need to check for ohms. We need to check for continuity, right? So we're going to go here and we're going to put that on a diode check with a tone for continuity, because I want the continuity portion of it. And I want to test between my base, my collector, and emitter. I'm going to check the base and the collector, and let's just make sure it's working. So we know it's working, right? Okay. Base and collector, nothing. Base and emitter, nothing. Collector and emitter, nothing. Of course, we already checked collector and base in reverse now. Nothing. Okay, so we know it's brand new. We know he's good, obviously. Now let's check this guy right here. Base, same pinout to the center tab collector, nothing. Base to emitter, uh-oh, we have a short. Okay, collector to base reverse, collector to emitter, nothing. But we do have a short showing between the base and the emitter. Okay, so let's validate that and see if in fact our continuity meter is telling us the truth. Base, collector, emitter. Base, collector, emitter. Blue, red, green. That's the leads to go to. Okay, short circuit on green and blue. That was my outer two leads, green and blue. That would be your base to emitter. So we have a short on this transistor between base and emitter. Okay? So therefore we know we can utilize a multimeter to do the same exact thing as a regular transistor tester. We can use this. Now, what if you didn't have the tone? Let's just say we didn't have a tone. Okay? Well, we don't have a tone because we don't have sophisticated equipment like Stewie. Well, then what are we supposed to do? Well, we can just put it on ohms. And let's see what that says. It should be continuity, like 0.2 ohms or something sort. And it does. It shows 0.2 ohms. Okay? So, let me do this. There we go. All right. The base and the emitter, the outer two leads. And look at the display. It says 0.2. We can reverse it, doesn't matter. A short's a short. Okay? So this will clear up a lot of confusion people have who are being misled about people saying what a shorted final is. They're just guessing. Oh, it's a shorted final because you got no power out. That doesn't mean anything. It just means you got no power out. You can assume that your final is possibly shorted, which very well may be, due to a 3.1 or higher SWR. But typically, we should go through the motions and find out, well, what is shorted? Why is it shorted? How do we know it's shorted? Right? So the why part's pretty simple to figure out. When a transistor shorts, it's due to any kind of RF coming back in due to high SWR or poor grounding, stuff of that nature, which would cause it to short out the final. Okay. However, excessive AM carrier usage over sideband, which we discussed this before, and I put up another thing again this morning on my community post. Check it out here on the channel. If you are increasing too much on your AM side, well, then you're going to have a problem with that, because AM is more stressful than sideband, because AM has a constant carrier, which is 100% duty cycle, and sideband has 50% duty cycle, because you don't have a substantial amount of carrier at all. It's suppressed. Okay? So, for those reasons, we must understand different ways a final could burn up. Typically, it's due to overdriving and or SWR related problems. Very seldom does a final just go because it wants to. Over age, it may do the same, but typically is due to overdriving or is due to an SWR problem. That's typically the only way a final is going to short, unless somebody's in there hacking it up. I mean, if we're talking just a brand new radio, it's going to be due to excessive SWR problem, or it's going to be because it's cranked up inside, if somebody got inside. Okay? That's really about the only two ways a final is going to short, guys, unless you got a defective part that was weak from the get-go or whatever, but that's not usually the case. The highest percentage rate of a blown off final is due to SWR or because someone cranked it up and they're splattering everything all across creation with that radio. That's the only two reasons why it should ever fail. So, having said all of this, it's important to understand that if you don't have test equipment, what can you use? Well, a multimeter. If you don't have a multimeter, but you got a level meter, you can use a power level meter to see and indicate as to any amplification. So let's say you have a final. Okay, we're checking it all out. We're going to the input side. We have good amplification. Okay, now we go to the output side. We should see more than 1.5, if not double the amount. We don't. We have about the same or nothing at all. Well, that tells you that the final is not amplifying, which means something is wrong with the final, or something in the circuit is pulling the final down. So now we got to identify, well, is it the final or is it not the final? In most cases, you can take and pretty much guess it's going to be the final. However, I had a case recently It was an electrolytic. Let me rephrase that. I'm sorry, not electrolytic. It was a Mylar cap, is what it was, and so they act like an electrolytic, but they're not an electrolytic. It was a Mylar cap, and so that was the reason of holding RF back. Hello. Hello. How can I help you?
My wife made an appointment for me for 10 o'clock this morning,
Yes.
and I don't have the money this week to do it. How much is it going to be?
It depends on what we have to do. I'm not sure what you have for equipment, how it's set up, so I'm not quite sure till I see what you have.
How much does it usually run?
Again, I don't know until I know what you've got going. I mean, I don't charge to look at anything. I mean, I can only just guide you in the right direction at that point. But
Yeah.
depending on what you have and what needs to be done, I couldn't even give you a price. I don't know. I mean, usually it's not much. I mean, it kind of varies. It depends on. I mean, do you want me to align it to a radio? Do you want me to install an antenna, or you already have it already pretty much? Just have me look it over. If I'm only looking it over, then it doesn't cost me. It doesn't cost you nothing.
I got the CB and the antenna. I need to know if they're any good. Is what I really need.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I can look at it and let you know if it's any good. If I have to put the analyzer on and adjust the SWR, I mean, then we kind of go from there. But typically, it's $35 for me to go through and get your radio, or not your radio, your antenna tuned in up to the first hour. So, but usually within 5 minutes, I can tell you if it's tuned in or not.
Schedule for next week sometime, okay? I'll have her call you.
Okay, no problem.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Yep. Bye. So, yeah, a lot of guys, when they ask me that, it's usually $35 for me to do the analyzation and get your antenna tuned in, which we can usually do within 5 to 15 minutes. If it's anything past that point, then we stop because we know. I always say it's up to the first hour, but usually within 15 minutes. If you can't get an idea about an antenna being out of tune within 15 minutes or less, if you can't get that thing tuned in, something's wrong. You don't need an hour. But I always give people that benefit up to 1 hour because sometimes we got to add ground straps, we got to make sure everything's good, etc. So that kind of covers up to the first hour anyways. But otherwise, that's about the only thing we usually do at this point. But had a guy yesterday show up. We weren't outside about 5-10 minutes, and he just needed a slight adjustment. And I didn't charge him at all. So if this guy shows up and we don't need to worry, just look it over, check it out, put it on the analyzer, he may not have any charge at all. If it's already good to go, there's no point in charging if it's already good to go. Only if I got to work. If I got to get it tuned in and spend time, then we charge. If not, then there's no charge. Just that simple. There you have it. Hello, Jason. How are you? Good morning. So anyway, so yeah, so we go back to the final stage, right? If we have a final problem with the radio and you're not sure how to test because you don't have any equipment, maybe you're just beginning, or maybe you want to know for sure before you send your radio out to a shop, which is always good to do because there's a lot of shyster shops that will screw you over and tell you one thing and then you don't know. So now this gives you the opportunity to understand. Disconnect. If you have a solder iron, unsolder your leads. Now, you don't always have to do that. You can actually do this right on the board itself. No big deal. You're just checking against resistance. So you should be pretty much about, we'll say 0.3 to about 0.6 roughly ohms or let me rephrase that, I'm sorry. Yeah. If, I shouldn't say you should be, I said that wrong. If you are showing any kind of 0.3 to 0.6 ohms, then you've got a short. If you should not be showing any resistance, it should be zero resistance with the componentry on the board. So you don't have to unsolder. You can check it right in circuit as well, as long as the radio is turned off. Then check for ohms. Check against your resistance. You should have zero reading. You shouldn't have any reading whatsoever across the base emitter and collector. If you have any kind of reading between 0.3 and 0.6 or higher, whichever, then that transistor is shorted. So zero reading if it's good. If you have any reading of difference, it is bad. Pull it out and test it. So that is the way to do it. And then if you're not sure as to, if you don't have a transistor tester, hello Ace, good morning. If you don't have a transistor tester and you're not sure how to test it, but you have resistance to indicate something's wrong, then just go online and look it up. It's okay, what's the pinout of this transistor. Type in the transistor name. It will tell you if it's emitter, collector, base, base, collector, emitter, or whatever. So if that is the case, and you know what leads your shorts are on, and this one here, we've got the two outer leads on this one is the problem, then we know at that point what the pinout is. Now, if we go to the computer and it says it's BCE, then we know it's the base emitter short. Okay, so now we can pretty much rest to know that it's shorted between the base and the emitter. So we get another transistor, order it, get it in the mail, put it in, and theoretically everything should come back to life, and then it's just a matter of whether you need to align, tune, set your bias, whatever else you got to do at that point. But in most cases, you shouldn't really have to play with anything. You should be able to just drop and go. You should not ever have to change bias much unless someone's already got inside and play with it. Now, if it's a brand new radio, and let's say someone made a boo-boo and they had a high SWR and they told you this, well, they say, yeah, I screwed up, I had a high SWR, let's take out the finals. Okay, then replace the finals, drop them back in, and be done with it. Very seldom should you ever have to retouch the bias to those finals again. Now, that is not always true though. Sometimes you have to. But what you want to do, as a rule of thumb, is always check the bias. That's a must. You should always check the bias before and after and look at your specs to see exactly where they should be set at. And as long as you check it and it's good, you don't need to readjust it just because you feel the need to readjust it for brand new finals. You don't have to do that. Read the procedure, read the instructions. If the instructions state what the bias is, then look at it, test it. If the bias is right there, leave it alone. As long as you're within a couple of tenths or whatever the tolerance is for specifications. A lot of guys like to readjust the bias because they put MOSFETs in or they put new finals in this, that, and the other. You don't have to do that. When you start messing around and you don't check things first by the book, you get into trouble. Then you start wondering why the MOSFET burned out again. Well, you're playing with the bias. Check it first. What does the book say? The book says this. Measure it with a voltmeter. Okay, or a current meter. And if that's what it says, leave it alone. You don't have to tweak it or touch it or nothing. A lot of guys are just finicky about that, and they like to, well, it says 50 to 75, so I guess I'll put it at 70 or 68. I'll give it a little bit more. I want that extra power. You're only going to make things worse. Don't do that, okay? If it's between 50 and 75, you find yourself a happy medium. Put it at 60, 62. That's it. You don't have to go anywhere above that. Just run at 50%. Wherever your specs are, run it from the low to the high, run it right in the middle. Right there to the middle. But most cases, it's going to tell you, set it at 10, set it at 25, set it at 35, 45, 55. Most of those might say 50 here and then 50-50, or they might say 10 versus 50-50. So depending on what the procedure says, always follow the book and you'll be perfectly fine. If you don't follow the book, well, then that's when things go wrong. So now you guys have a better understanding how to test a transistor to see if it's functioning or not functioning. Does it have a short? Is it open? Whatever, okay? We were able to identify and prove not only through the multimeter on ohms for resistance, but also through continuity through the diode with the beeper to indicate yes, which we don't need to do. I just like using that feature because it's a fun feature. It's quick and easy to to do. Gives you the same exact end result, and then you also have the ability of a transistor tester, which we were able to indicate yes, we have a short on the blue and the green, which were the outer two leads. Therefore, were my base and my emitter. Also, we have a power level meter that also shows me we didn't have any amplification, so I knew the final had to be wrong. So now, when you key up a radio and you see your needle drop, that doesn't always mean it's a final. It could be something different. However, this case was the final. So, again, check for continuity. Should have no continuity on any of the leads. If you do have continuity, something's wrong with that transistor. Also, what you should do is check for HFE. A lot of guys don't do that. And this is where you run into problems. You must check for HFE. If you don't do this, you can be putting in a component that's already wrong to begin with, and it's not going to amplify because the HFE is wrong. Okay? Very important to understand this. What do you mean, Stewie boy? Well, let's help out our peoples here. Let me teach what I'm good at. Being the technician that I've always been and always will be, and nobody can really compete to my level. They try, but they can't. And that's not being narcissist. It's just being a fact, because a lot of these guys get jealous, and they shouldn't. They should be envying me. They should be learning. A lot of guys do learn. A lot of guys just don't give a damn. That's the problem. So let's take a look and see what we got going on here. Okay, that says 90. HFE is 90, which is not bad. It's pretty good. Okay, now I'm going to take him off. Obviously, I can't test the other one because it's got a short. So let me grab another transistor. I'm going to grab you another unit here. And I want to show you the difference. I just so happen to have one right here. 1969, 1969. HG. This is a Mitsubishi, but the emblem is very big emblem. If this is a true Mitsubishi, it would be a lot smaller emblem. This here is a knockoff. I had ordered some transistors. They said it was the real deal, only to get them and find out it was not. So they did refund me my money. It says just keep those anyway. I'm like, yeah, you gave me China parts. So this one shows 59, which is actually not bad at all. If I were to put this in circuit, though, it probably would not last. Because the HFE, even though it says 59, that might be an okay one. So let me see if I got another one here. Let me see if I got another one here. That might be one of the very fortunate ones that are actually probably good. So that's not going to be a good example. Hold on a second here. Let me get another one here. I'll show you an example. Because when the HFE is much higher than what the specs say, then you got a problem. Try this one here. There you go. 151. So typically anywhere from typically like 90 and less. 90 is about peak, but it's not bad. But 90 or less, and that's only because of HG too. But this is 151, and this is also a Mitsubishi. This is a 2166, is it? Yeah. And so these should all be roughly about the same. If you want a match pair, try to get them as close as you can get them. But this is 151. So if I were to put this into circuit, it's not going to amplify. The radio is not going to produce any power. You're going to see like maybe less than 1 watt carrier, and you're not going to see any amplification. And you're going to wonder why. I put a brand new final in. What the hell's going on? That would be the problem, because this is a knockoff transistor. That's where the problem is. Okay, so these are both Mitsubishis. Luckily enough, I actually got one here that's got decent HFE. Now, how long will this work? Who knows? Would I trust it? No. Even with a low HFE, I still would not trust it, because I know the batch I got these from are knockoffs. So for that reason, I would never trust it, which is why it's still sitting here off to the side for an example, because I would never trust it. And I forgot I had this sitting off to the side for those reasons. But this has got the same exact emblem. If you look at them, you can see, let me back this up a little bit. The emblem. typically, okay, I need to get my magnifying glass out here for a minute. Okay, I see. Nope, this is actually the good one. That's why it tested good. I thought that was part of my knockoffs one. It's not. This is actually the good one. So if you look at this one here, see the difference? That one's bigger. See the spacing? This one's bigger than him, the emblem. That's the knockoff. This is the good one. I do have one here as a knockoff, though. I had for an example. I don't know where I put the damn thing. I thought that was the one. Okay, so I stand corrected again. I'm sorry. So, yeah, this is the good one. Because the good one has a smaller emblem. You can see it. Than this one. So, and what do we mean by this? What we're meaning by this is we don't see... When we have... Let me draw this out here fast. Okay. The spacing right here. Look at that spacing. The spacing, you can see, is wider than this. This is actually a good Mitsubishi, which is why I tested good. This one is not. I do have one here, though, which is a knockoff I would not trust. So this one here I stand corrected on. This is actually the good one. This is not part of the knockoff one. So I'll have to go through the ones I had sitting off to the side here. They're not in my good tray. My good tray, I have all the good ones separated. But this one here I had left out. I don't know why I had left that one out. But I do have some knockoff ones I left out for a reason. But this one here is the... this is the true emblem. That one's bigger and more space in the middle. This is the knockoff. That's one of the biggest indications you can find. And then this is the higher HFE. This is a lot lower HFE. So this is the one I would trust. This one I would not. So, hello SolarCon, how are you? Everybody got that now? We were rearranging a lot of stuff yesterday. That's why I don't have these all in order. So I apologize for that. But yeah, so I do have the knockoff ones. I gotta find where the hell I put the damn thing. I just had them sitting out here the other day too, because some of them had mentioned about, can you do a transistor check again for us, because we saw some information on one of the videos that is commonly out like once every week or two. He might do a video or two and then tries to show multiple twin bases and other stuff and claims all this other stuff and whatever else. And so there was some misled information that the guy had stated. One of which was about the finals. The second of which was sideband power should be set less than AM, which is incorrect. That is false. It doesn't. And let me before I even say this, the third statement was, it's just a CB. That's why they do it, because it's cheaper components. That is false information. Now that you have all of what was said, now the facts are this. Sideband is actually better than the AM side. It's 50% duty cycle. It's less stress because you're not constant load onto the final. An AM carrier has constant load onto the final, with or without voice. Okay? So your AM is more predominantly to fail, or cause the final to fail rather, over time than sideband. And it doesn't matter if it's CB or if it's going to be ham radio. Is one built better than the other? Sure. But they all have pretty much the same componentry. So it doesn't matter if I pull the same resistor off of this pile or this pile and put it in. It doesn't matter. So the radios are the radios. The fundamentals and the basic concept of those radios, the characteristics and the components inside, are all going to do the same exact thing. It's just based on which one's built better than the other. You got a Ford Tempo and you got a Ferrari. They're both built pretty much the same concept, the same. So one's got better attributes and components and this standard than the other. Okay. But by the end of the day, what do they both do? They both start They both drive. They both get you from point A to point B and point C back home. So what did you gain out of it? Nothing. What did you waste out of it? A lot more money on a Ferrari than a damn Ford Tempo. You know what I mean? So the analogy behind that is the same thing between CB and ham radio. It doesn't matter. So when these guys say, well, your ham radios are built better, that's why they can last longer on sideband versus a CB. That is false information. It is false information. Okay? Go to my community post here on the channel. I just reposted the same information again. Why AM is more stressful to a final than sideband is. So you should never take a radio and cut your sideband down, cut your ALC down to 15 watts while your AM's doing 20, 25 watts. You should never do that, ever. If you do, you clearly don't have a clue what you're doing. You should keep your fingers out of the radio and stick what you do best. Drive your truck. That's it. Whatever profession you have, and leave it. And hope that you actually do that a good job. Because you clearly don't know what you're doing. Do not ever cut your ALC back. You set that to the parameters. You set it to the procedure. Read the instructions. That's what you do. Never should you ever cut your ALC back. You should never do that. If you do, you're suppressing the radio. You're not allowing the radio to perform. Sideband does not weaken your finals as what these guys think. Okay? They don't do that. Could your finals blow if you're all the time on sideband? Sure, eventually, if you run in a high SWR. You got band grounding issues, but as far as your everyday use, no. Sideband, your radio is going to have longevity. It's going to last a lot longer if you run sideband than you do AM, because it's 50% of your duty cycle, but it's 100% of the power going out. There's no carrier on sideband. So again, if you don't understand how a radio works, which clearly by watching those videos, guys, you can pretty much see, how people are, then they don't even send your radio to them. And if they can't physically show you step by step on the alignment procedure, but they'll sit there and mock somebody else and try to recorrect them, which only humiliated themselves because they weren't able to do a good enough job to prove a point. Again, don't send your radios to those places, because they can sit here all day long and tell you A, B, C, D. No. They can show you twin radios and finally say, see, I don't have the same radio on the bench. Okay, so you got two different radios. You're able to do that. What about the previous 20, 30 radios that you have shown the same video over and again? And it's not just me. There are lots of people. I've had over 30 emails in the last 5 months telling me, same blemish, same this, same that. He's using the same exact radio. He's waiting a week, 2, 3, maybe like a month or two, and says he's got another one of these on the bench. And it's like, yeah, I know. That's how they do it. Those are scammers. That's how they do it. And somebody had questioned and said, you should start showing serial numbers to each radio that you complete so we know it's not the same radio. And the comment in reply was, you're right, and I will, which has still failed to do and still has not done. Do you know why? Because he doesn't have the clientele, and a lot of shops will do this, and that's wrong. Every time I get done, you guys watch me flip my radio all around. Sit this way, sideways, you see the back of it. Serial number's right there. You know why? Because I don't have to have the same radio on the bench. I don't need to do that. You think I got, oh my God, I got over $85,000 of test equipment. You think I need to have this kind of money invested in this stuff to sit here and use the same radio over and again to develop a business? That's sick. You're like demented. You can't do things like this, man. That's wrong. That's just, how low can you get? That's pretty low. Anyways, you should put your education into the book and learn how to align a radio correctly, especially when you have a DX2547. There's a clarifier button. In the procedure, it tells you push the clarifier button in before making the alignment from the sideband. Otherwise, it's not going to come out. And it tells you that. And if the person who's working on your radio doesn't have those informations inside the book, well, then I guess he ain't got the right full schematic and the full service manual from the manufacturer that shows you exactly all of that information. And it's pretty clear, and it tells you in the owner's manual to push the button in to actuate the clarifier circuit. So, again, it's the lack of education some people have these days. So now we understand how to test finals, guys. Now you understand to look for the HFE, and now you understand how to also identify the emblem if it's much larger than the other, to stay away from certain transistors, especially on eBay. When you start seeing these things for like $6 a piece or $5 a piece or $2 a piece, don't buy them, because they cost more than that. Okay? If you're looking for the cheap way out to get more profit margin, then you're in the wrong business. Some components I make no money on at all, because it's the cost of the parts. I mean, I'll give you an example. Just for a match pair of finals for a certain HF radio may cost $250 for a match pair through RF Parts. You know, I charge a customer exactly what RF Parts charges me. I don't make no money on it. Could I? Sure, I could throw on 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks, whatever. I don't. In fact, I don't even charge the labor to put the damn things in. I go through, I align it, and I tune it, and that's where my charge is at. I get a flat rate for alignments per whatever the radio is, and then that's it. If I have to do anything else more, then okay, we might tack on a little bit for a little additional labor, but 99% of the time, I don't even do that. I just charge for the alignment, charge for the repair, and be done with it. Especially when the parts are that high, it's crazy. Now, if I have the 1969 final, and it's legit, and it's a good one, all right, then I might tack on $5 for a little profit margin. Most shops charge a lot more than that. I've seen shops charge $10 to $15 a final. It's like, wow. So I don't. I might tack on $5 for, just because, make a couple bucks. That's not even often at all. Half the time, I think in the last like 6-7 months, I haven't even charged anything for the 1969s, just the cost of the part. Because to me, it doesn't even matter. I don't like marking up on parts. I really don't. If you're going to buy a radio, okay, well, then here's your retail price for the radio. I'd make a little bit off of that. But as far as componentry, I don't like doing that componentry, because it just, if you got a nickel and dime a customer because, well, I got a cable here, okay, what that cable cost you? 50 cents. What are you going to charge them? Oh, $10. You're desperate, man. You can't. So I don't do that. I don't like charging for certain things, because it's petty. It's just all petty. I don't need the money. So some other shops might need it, and that's why they do it. I don't care about it. I'm in it for the passion, the glory. I'm not in it for. I make good money. It's a full-time job. I'm not in it for the money as far as that goes. When it comes to all the little stuff, I don't need it. Don't care for it. World Radio. Good morning. How are you? He says so many fake components about now flooding the market. Unfortunately, yes, that is very true. Marty. Good morning to Mr. Marty. I have those finals on hand, so I need to look at them close. Yes, you do. Yep, absolutely. Because you don't want to pay attention to the size of the emblem, and then check your HFE. If the HFE is well over 100, don't touch it. Don't even waste your time with it, because it's not going to do you any good. So, but all right, guys. Anybody got any questions? I hope this really opened up your mind to more clarity on how to test your transistors, your finals. You can also use the same aspect as to if you don't have one of these devices, you can use the multimeter to turn on and off your MOSFET. If the MOSFET turns on, it's good. If it don't, something's wrong. It's just that simple. A MOSFET's a switch, okay? A MOSFET is nothing fancy. It just turns on and off. So if you can check that, and you know how to turn it, and I've got it in my community post as well. Go back and look. Go to my channel and type in how to test MOSFET, and you'll see videos on that. And it'll tell you step by step what to do, along with pictures, in case you guys are more hands-on. That's cool. No disrespect, but I put up both for those reasons. So if you want to experiment and check out for yourself, go for it. I encourage you to do so, because here it's 100% factual. You're not going to get that BS wannabe chop shop, glory of nonsense these guys do and lie to you and all that nastiness. And let's go back to the 2547 for a minute too. This guy keeps stressing about 10-watt carriers on single finals. The book tells you where to set all your information, okay? And the best performance of a single final would be typically between 2 and no more than 7, not 10, okay? Again, he tries to exaggerate to make you want to fall into a circle of poison Kool-Aid. It's not 10, okay? It's typically 2 on low. You can go 5, 6, no more than 7 on high. It tells you right in the damn procedure, do not exceed 7, period. Black and white. So, or color if you wish, if you got a color printer. Whatever. It tells you right there. Also, your bias. You've got to set the bias correctly. When the bias is set correctly to the driver in the final, it's all going to come out good. Now, as far as the what do you say that was there? Oh, the PPE in your NPC swing kits. Let's talk about that briefly, guys. I've already gone over this a million times, but let me just briefly remind you, okay? You have a radio on your bench, brand new. You align it, you tune it. You're going to get 2 on the low if you set it up correctly. Let's say you're swinging, I don't know, 10, 12 watts, whatever, 15 watts, right? Okay. Now, let's say you're on high side at 7 watt dead key, 6 watt dead key, and you're doing like 25 watts. Your radio's working perfectly fine as long as you got good waveform and you follow procedure. Do what the procedure says, okay? Nowhere does it say 5 watts. So, but it does state do not exceed 7. So as long as you can follow procedure on certain ones for single final, that's fine. However, when you install a kit, swing kit, right? When you put these kits inside, please understand, you're going to see the same results, okay? You're not going to gain anything out of it other than you're going to decrease the value, you're going to decrease the performance, you're going to increase the adjacent bleed over, okay? So swing kit equals everything is disaster. I don't care who you think you are, what you think you're going to do, or how much BS you're going to try to explain to people. Swing kits don't work other than splatter. You will never put a swing kit in a radio and expect that to come out clean. Ever. No. Okay? The radios are designed to perform with proper tuning alignment procedure at its best performance it can offer as far as what the radio is built and designed to do. That's it. So by enhancing that by putting a swing kit in and you're dropping down to 1 watt dead key and you're getting 25 watts out, there's something wrong. Okay? Especially when you're getting about the same or close to on both low and high, something's wrong. Now, if you look at that in a spectrum analyzer and your scope, I like these guys, how they look at the scope and no pinching, but you see the pinching. No flat topping, but then you see a little flat topping. It's pretty embarrassing that one can see this, especially when they wear glasses, prescription glasses, and they still say, it's coming in clean, but it looks like crap. So, it is what it is. But, these are the videos you can sit back and laugh at, but learn from as well, because the videos in which I produce, and everybody else who are like me, which are many awesome, great technicians that are way better than I am, but I've been over this 40 years, guys. I've been in this hobby here, and now has become a full-time job, and I love it because I love what I do and I have the passion for what I do. I got the heart for what I do. A lot of shops don't have this. Very few of us have the passion. A lot of the guys don't care. I'm actually teaching other shops right now across the states, as I've always been. 13 shops I've helped open up over the years. And we got another 4 I'm working with right now. Well, let me rephrase that. 3. Because the other one decided it's too much. He just can't handle it, and he doesn't want to put the money into it. He didn't realize it's going to be that kind of expensive hobby. So he's kind of going to the side for a little bit to rethink what he'd like to do if he wants to go far enough into it, or maybe just learn a couple things for his own benefit, but not open up a shop. So three other ones we are teaching full bore, and they're doing great. And so, and one of which down in Tennessee, his name's Shane, and really good guy, cool guy, doing everything he's supposed to be doing right, and doing a great job, and he's already got a wealth of knowledge. We're just trying to enhance that and get him in more categories that he wasn't aware of, what to do, and how to test, this, that, and the other. So now I've opened his eyes to much more, and he's doing awesome. So he's got a nice CB shop down there in Tennessee. He's doing a great job. So if you guys ever, if you're down near Tennessee and you guys need some help with your equipment, look up Climber CB shop. He's doing a great job. He's been into this. What do you say? Late '90s, early 2000s. He's been into it for a long time, and so he's doing very good. So he's constantly asking questions. He's learning. He's doing awesome. I can't say enough about that. Eric in Iowa, another great guy, doing great, awesome job. He's been around about 25, 28, I think, years now, doing all the stuff that everybody else does, and had no clue how to really read certain things. He just kind of, I think the image looks like this because that's what I hear and what I see. Now that I've opened his eyes to other things, now he has a lot more in detailed depth what to do. So that's pretty cool. We've got, like I said, we've got amazing places, guys, amazing shops all across the country. 13 of them I've helped over the years, and now we got this other 3 we're doing. And the third one is over in Ohio, just outside of Dayton, Ohio. And he's doing a good job too. So between Shane, Eric, and we got Robert in Ohio, those guys are doing great. So if you guys want to, reach out under CB shops, feel free to do so. But check it out, because like I said, these guys, they're learning. They've already got knowledge. All I'm doing is finessing. That's it. I'm just finessing. I'm enhancing what they already know and give them more what they did not know and making them a lot better of what they can do. And so these guys are pretty cool, and I like helping people because I give them the right facts, the right information, and they are going to benefit off of this because now, just in a short time, since these guys have bought and test equipment off of me, I mean literally in a short time, like almost within like 2-3 days from the time they've got their equipment, people notice when they go live, and they say, "What is that in your bench?" And they realize this, and they're doing a great job. So when they see things like this, they see you progressing, and then you're able to not just have decoration on your bench, but explain why you have it, what is it used for, what are you looking for, why do you have it connected to the radio, and what does it do for you? When you explain all the information and you show formulas that nobody likes to do, but when you do formulas, it makes sense. And when the customer is around the same base level as you now, and they understand what you're talking about, oh my God, it just makes life a lot easier. It does, because then you people can understand when you call me up, say, hey, or on any one of these shops, say, hey, I got a problem. Okay, what's your problem? Well, my radio's intermitting on the, we'll say receiver side, or maybe I have no audio out. The average person calls, says, my radio's not working. Okay, so explain to me more. What is it doing? What's it not doing? Well, I don't know what you want me to tell you. It's just not working. Well, that doesn't mean anything to me. Does it turn on? Well, yeah. Okay, well, then it works to a point. Does it transmit? Yeah. Does it receive? Yeah. Well, then it sounds like it's working to me. What's the problem? Well, I can't get out more than maybe 400 or 500 feet. Okay. Well, that's an antenna problem. That's not a radio problem. Oh. Well, what do we got to do? I got these little 2-foot sticks I bought at Walmart. Well, that's your problem. So, I mean, when people understand more and you get the education, now you can call me and say, hey, okay, I have this right here. I've gone through my antennas. I got a good SWR. I don't know if the antenna is going to be a good performing antenna, but here's what I have. And I'm only getting out maybe a couple miles, but I know my radio is showing transmit. I see the needle movement. I see this. I see that. I'm getting receive. I get receive signal, receive audio. When you can tell me all of that, now I know that you're paying attention, and now I got something to work with. Okay, so your radio seems to be okay, outside of maybe might need a tuner in line or maybe not. But in the meantime, let's focus on your antenna, because your antenna is 90% of your system. So by doing this, now we're both, myself, technician, and the customer, who has a good wealth of knowledge now, is able to communicate at the same level and get the problem resolved much quicker than it is to spend, a half hour, 2 hours, 3 hours trying to figure out what to do or trying to explain to you until my hair falls out because you're not listening that your antenna is junk. But you swear up and down, well, no, I got this, man. Then I can't have the conversation with you no more because your antenna is junk. And I've had a lot of guys ask me, if I come over there, can you tune my radio to my antenna? I said, no. They said, why? Because you don't tune a radio to the antenna, you tune the antenna to the vehicle for the best ground. Oh, okay. Well, then how do we tune our radio to the antenna? I says, you don't. You tune the radio for its maximum clean performance, but you don't tune the radio to the antenna. The antenna has to be tuned to where it's got its right impedance, its right grounding connection. So where are you going to put your antenna? Makes all the world of the difference. Now, when you get your antenna squared away and you get a good antenna, you can pretty much put any radio that you want onto the antenna. Because the antenna doesn't know the radio. It doesn't want to know the radio. It doesn't care about the radio. It just wants to know one thing. Do you have the same impedance at your termination point? And if you do, then we're a match. Let's talk. Right? So these are things that, again, when you watch my channel, you learn. And when you learn, everything comes out good. Don't be the one who has animosity because you read Facebook forums and all these groups. They're just Facebook junkies. Those are all what we call the queen bee drug addict team is what they are. They don't care. They just, I saw this post. Yeah, what'd you read? Well, people say you're this. And what'd you gather out of that? Well, I don't know. I'm just reading what they say. So what are you bothering me for? Well, I just thought I'd let you know. Okay, well, it's not a need-to-know basis. I could care less. I've been over here 40 years. Those guys come and go. They drop off the face of the earth or else they get locked up. So what does it matter to me? Oh, well, why do you give me a be like that? Well, what are you calling me for? 8 o'clock at night to let me know that someone wrote a post. I don't give a damn. I don't care. And when I explain to them, go to my YouTube channel and you get all your answers. 99% of the time, if these people really have a brain, I usually get a response back by text or phone call or email. Wow. Yeah. Now I see these guys on Facebook are just idiots, amongst other words that they will write back. I said, yeah. Now you see. Watch my channel, and you'll find out that my channel is 100% transparent, educational, and very informative. All about facts. And we show you everything that you need to know and then some, and way and above beyond. Everybody on Facebook, they're still stuck in pre-K wearing diapers. They don't know what the hell they're doing on Facebook, other than it's like coffee shop hour. We all got to run down to the coffee shop and listen to the gossip. That's all it is. They have no education. They've got no life, no job, no education. That's the problem. All right, guys. On that note, that's wonderful and all. But we're going to take and get ready to begin our day. I'm just trying to kill a little bit of time here because I'm waiting for a gentleman to show up who does have a few radios he wants me to work on. So we're trying to, wait here a little bit. And he's got like another 20 minutes to show up. So I figured before I get involved with any kind of bench work, I'd bring up a topic about the transistors and some other things we want to touch base on too to help you guys, remind you on different things. And don't forget, like, share, subscribe, hit that join button. And also, go to my community posts. Read what I posted. It's educational. You will learn. You will understand. You will see facts. Do not listen to the BS from these other, what we call a preamble, post-amble video show, Jerry Springer show. They show a video. I got a Galaxy 959. Okay. Well, here's what it's doing. Okay. All right, here's video 2, guys. I got a Galaxy 959, and here's what we had to do to fix it. See? It's working. Okay. So what'd you do? Well, we aligned it and tuned it. So what'd you do? Well, I just said we aligned it and tuned it. But what did you really do? You didn't show anybody what you did. So how do we know that you actually aligned and tuned it? How do we know you didn't send out someone else do the work for you and you're claiming their benefit? How do we know you didn't copy someone else's video? Why don't you show your work? See? These are things you're going to learn, guys. Read my post I put up. It's very informative. And we're also popping up their pop quizzes. We got some pop quizzes for you guys to check out. So hopefully, if you watch the beginning of this video and you stay to the end, give me a thumbs up if you stay to the end, guys. I appreciate that. And put your comments and thoughts down below as well. And if you watch this video, especially the beginning, it's going to help you answer one of those pop quizzes. Now, if you watch throughout the video, it's going to help you answer another pop question on the quiz. So, 2 quizzes I posted this morning. I gave you the answers in this video. Now you got to listen. Play back the video, pay attention, and that will help you answer the right choice of the pop quiz questions I put up this morning my community post here on the YouTube channel. So, anyways, guys, be safe. Catch y'all later. We'll be back shortly with another wonderful video here at the DX Radio Shop, which honestly everybody knows, and I'll say it again. And people ask me all the time, well, not ask, but they usually tell me and demand me, you should really tell people that it's the #1 shop to go to, because you truly are, because you're the only one in the country who actually shows everything. That's, I know. That's just me. And people hate me because they're just the lefties. So, but anyways, guys, be safe, be smart. Answer those pop quiz questions I posted. Check them out. Hit the join button if you want to become a member of our channel and learn a lot more. If you want to be able to take classes, we don't charge additional for classes, just the $9 a month. That gives you everything. You get basic, and we're going to give you basic, plus we're going to mix in our exclusive videos as well to that. And so you guys can learn a lot more when it comes to the basics, the troubleshooting, the block diagrams, understanding the radio from beginning through an end, each section of a radio, breakdown of componentry, functional testing, preliminary analyzations, how to use the test equipment, how to read the test equipment, how to understand what volts per division, seconds per division is, not just look at your test equipment and say, well, yeah, I got to set it here because. How to set your span. The people still don't know how to use their service monitor, which is so sad. They waste all that money. You know, and here's the other thing too. It's funny how that individual now kept his mouth shut. Do you know why? Because we beat him up pretty hard and exposed the living hell out of him. So now he's been pretty quiet. Not to mention he received a knock at his door, and someone kind of reassured him to cease and desist. So we'll see how that goes. So, and if you notice how certain things were put to private now, you don't see certain things posted on that channel. Do you know why? Because they were told, continue with the defamation and you will be locked up. So it's amazing how when you expose somebody and then you got to put the hurting onto them, and when you really got to put them in their place and humiliate them, it's sad to have to do any of that, but it is what it is. Sometimes you got to go the extra mile, and it is what it is. So now, maybe that person will learn from this, and maybe, just maybe, might stick the nose in the book and actually learn how to read and do everything that needs to be done correctly by procedure, and not just assume because procedure says this. Read the whole damn procedure, and you'll see where you can and where you cannot make your adjustments, even if it's at the beginning, which in fact one adjustment he claimed was in the beginning of the procedure, and it was not. You have your phase lock loop, that's the beginning. Your transmitter was your second, that's not the beginning. Okay, beginning means start. You're at the start line, that's your beginning, your phase lock loop. Then you go to your transmit, then you go to receive. Some cases it's receive then transmit, but it doesn't matter. Phase lock loop is always first. All right, guys, be safe. See y'all soon. Be good. Hello, Corey. How are you? And we'll see y'all at the next video here at the DX Radio Shop.